Call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Paul Jenderski is absent. Jamie Kendall,
Present.
Michael Nesbitt,
Present.
Edgar Titoff,
Present.
Kathy Harris, Darcy McSwain is absent, and Jennifer Rosser Nesbitt.
Present.
Any adjustments to the agenda?
Not the agenda, but at this time you should choose the new President Pro Tem.
Anybody got a motion to nominate somebody?
I'll make a motion for Mike again.
I'll support.
Roll call vote.
Paul Jenderski's absent. Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain is absent, Jennifer Rosser Nesbitt.
I will abstain as we are husband and wife.
Any announcements, public comment?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas to you.
Spicer engineer report.
Good evening, council. Start with the TMF side of things, and then as usual, Mark will fill in the other details. TMF grant-wise, fighting the cold weather to try and get these last service valves located, but working with the DPW, the city's got another small stack of them for us to look at, and then next time I come out to grab those, I'll probably just grab a DPW guy on a day that works for them, and we'll try and get the rest of them. But for like perspective for y'all, for timeline of the whole project, we will have until next November 25 to submit our intent to apply for the grant. That grant that we're applying for is the one that will include projects to eliminate any lead services that we find. So that won't be till next November, and then that actual submission date isn't due until the June of 2026. So famous last words, but we have a lot of time within the project. So if we'll try and catch a couple of warm days here in December if we get some of them that sneak in. But otherwise, if we end up having to push and bid in the spring, like early spring, and do that hydro excavation in March, April, May, I don't foresee that causing any difficulties in the actual timeline of the whole project. So that's it, TMF side.
Alright.
Sorry. Other thing too, just working with the DPW as they're finishing up all the existing water main phase 1 project stuff. Those couple of services that we get here and there, just updating the records and cutting those off the list too. So.
Alright, good evening, Mark Norton with Spicer Group. Got a pretty brief update tonight. We've got the code of ordinances that we're working with the planning commission on. Last month we went through chapter 30 and half of 32. It's a pretty long one. We're gonna wrap up chapter 32 at the next meeting and work on hopefully another chapter after that. Time permitted. The 2025 water system improvements, we got the archaeological report for SHPO submitted, and then we're just still continuing to wrap up all the rural development application items. That's still on schedule probably to be submitted, going out for bids in the spring. The Safe Routes to School project, we've got all the topography picked up. And we're starting to work on the SHPO application for that one as well. All these, federal and state dollars typically have to have that SHPO application, so it's pretty standard grant and loan funding to do those items. The phase one, water system improvement project, the Marcy Street paving was completed. And then some additional water service replacement has started, and I think we still have a few more of those still to go. But that's about all I have, so I don't know if there's any questions or anything, any comments from anybody? Alright,
No, I would just add that the SHPO documents submitted to MDOT were grayed out, so Ryan's having a little problem there, but hopefully we'll have that fixed by tomorrow. Pre-scoping the application.
over the safe routes?
Yeah, something with the app isn't letting us, change
Yeah.
the state of the file, so we'll
Okay,
figure it out.
we'll look into that. Thanks for letting us know.
Ryan's on it.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Council minutes approval for November 13th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 13th village council meeting.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Commission and committee reports. DDA for December 6th, 2024.
I would just add thank you to Mike and Jenny for their contributions to Old Fashioned Christmas, to Kelly Cornford, Victoria Devereaux, the DDA, Tess, all the volunteers, the school. I counted over 350 people, and I didn't go all the way down the boulevard nor into the museum. Every year we try to do something different. There's something missing, and we got to figure that out. Whether it's vendors outside, we got to figure out something. But I thought people were pleasantly surprised with the drone show. Now we need to look at maybe private sector buy-in to see if we can continue it going. We could do their logo if they donate a certain amount, or put their logo on a banner thanking them for the donation. But the kids are super happy with the prizes. Over $4,000 raised. In toys given away, we have 25 toys still back there. We've called all the families. We have one kayak left of the 8. But it's going to be a great event as long as they're free drawings. So, food trucks were very appreciative and want to come back.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to speak to anything.
Yeah, I already talked to Sienna and the DJ, and all 4 food trucks are coming back. We were supposed to have 4. One had vehicle trouble, but had said they wanted to be included. So I've already talked to the American Legion. They're going to try to see if they can get us on their books again for next year. So I'd like to maybe add some reindeer if we can maybe do something along those lines, but it's nice and fun.
One of the things that I would think about as we talked about discussion is we can have the parade a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
The parade brings the people in, right?
Yes.
So the people there for the parade, the kids get candy. After the parade, then you have like maybe an hour for them to go through the food vendors, go see Santa Claus, and then do the drone show. So they have that time for everybody to be there.
Yes.
I think that might benefit a little bit more, especially to the vendors, if for that time, because it seemed like before that, when I first showed up, nobody was out there.
Right.
And everybody got there ready for the parade. But the other thing I noticed when I'm walking around after the parade was done is it's dark.
Yes.
You can't see anything. Maybe renting some generator lights or something in between there, and then when the drone show comes on, shutting them off. But something to light it up a little bit more, because it was really dark.
Right.
I noticed that the last 2 years, and I mentioned it to Art this time about maybe getting some lights somehow.
I had a few people ask me why we didn't do anything in the first block this year.
There were supposed to be 2 food trucks, and when the first food truck canceled, then Tom's just wanted to kind of move and be down by the American Legion. So I was gonna have 2 food trucks and 2 food trucks. Thing is with the vendors, they all want to be inside. Nobody wants to be outside because of the way the weather is. So unless we have buy-in from businesses to let people inside, then we don't have that type of stuff. So that's the one thing that I always kind of struggle with. I'd love to see the boulevard lined with different things to do, but unless there's buy-in from other places.
Yeah, I'd love the vendors upstairs at the museum.
That's what they did last year, didn't they?
I organized all of
They're
that.
kind of down and around. It was kind of packed and kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a fire hazard, but there's got to be a better way to do that. But
Yeah.
I do like the idea of the parades at 5:30.
Yep.
It's dark enough.
I
carriage
thought
rides.
too, possibly maybe if you could swing this next year, at the, I keep calling it the VFW hall.
American Legion.
Yeah. I'm old, honey.
No, that's okay.
Everybody come in one door, maybe go out the back door, so we didn't have people.
Yeah,
come.
we talked about
It
that too,
might-
like that exit, and just so it's kind of a
Yep.
straight
Yeah.
shot, go
It might
through or
be
snake
able-
around to get.
Maybe make your line go a little faster.
Yep, and Santa's gonna be coming back again, so we're gonna have Santa outside if Eager Roofing decides they wanna do hot cocoa
Hot
again.
cocoa, too.
We'd have them outside, cause we ended up moving that table and stuff, so. Always open to suggestions, ideas, extra sets of hands.
Okay.
Hopefully we get some businesses that maybe wanna open their doors or do something.
I heard a lot of compliments on the drone show. I
That
thought
was
it was
awesome.
great.
That was amazing.
Thank
I
you,
thought
Hartman.
it was really nice.
When you hear people hooting, hollering, screaming after,
That
Yeah.
was crazy.
That was
really cool.
It's
awesome.
like fireworks on the lake.
Someone did
Mhm.
suggest, the drone show and fireworks together, but. I thought that was.
Slow down.
Fire department or-
I'm just telling you what someone said to me.
Have the drones shoot the fire.
Chief, we probably should give you
That's
the
the- that's
first
the
trophy
future
because we had the
of
most
war.
blinding
That's
brightest
what I mean.
lights of.
They're pretty bright.
They, what?
No, I thought the drone show was great. I thought everything was great. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the Downtown Development Authority minutes of Friday, December 6th, 2024.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? No Parks and Rec for that, close for the season. Planning Commission, November 21st, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning commission meeting minutes of November 21st, 2024.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? No communications?
No, I was hoping for a review magazine, but
Payment of claims.
If nobody has any questions, I'll make a motion to pay the claims in the amount of $153,135.06.
I'll support.
I have a question real quick.
I was gonna say I have one too, I'm sorry.
The Ed Raymond and Sons, the three of them, on page 5. I see we paid for Strickland, and then the main bar, what's the third one? Do you know what that one was from? Is that police uniforms, or is that somebody else?
No, that was DPW.
Okay, that's, all right, that explains
the
it.
101-269 versus the 101-300 will tell you that.
I don't know what that means.
The account number
Oh.
underneath.
Oh, I'll write that down.
We'll figure it out.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't billed twice, because it was similar to the first one of mine.
Kathy, what is your question?
On page 3, number 6848, the top here, fire withholding refund. What is that?
So it's the fire withholding program that we're in with the state of Michigan. If somebody's house burns down, they get the insurance money. We withhold a certain amount to make sure that it's demolished properly and taken care of before we give it back to them.
Okay. Didn't know we had that.
We already had a motion. Somebody seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? New business. Item A, MMWA resolution trustee and alternate.
Currently, I sit as the trustee as the Village of St. Charles representative to MMWA. I'd like to stay that way. Marguerite is the alternate. They just need a resolution every 4 years to verify who's supposed to be coming to the meetings, who attends, and represents the village on trash and recycling.
I'll make a motion, we remain with Art as the appointing trustee and Marguerite as the alternate.
You could throw Lou in there if you wanted, Lou.
Okay.
Okay.
If you like.
Marguerite's doing a great job.
I
No.
didn't say that. I didn't say that.
And she's not here to defend it.
She's not here to defend herself, right?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item B, water tower inspection.
Every 5 years, we need to have our 250,000 tank water tower inspected for state of Michigan purposes. Last inspection was 2019 before I got here. It is time to have it inspected. Nelson Tank Engineering does a phenomenal job. You'll see their name all over the state for this. This is the proposal and contract agreement to get it done. I think it ends up being around $10,000 is what I was always told.
That's a fine.
This says not to exceed, owner agrees to pay consultant not to exceed 5,000, but the payments in section 2 gets into the weeds.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal and contract agreement with Nelson Tank Engineering and Consulting.
No support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I have a question. So does that, also include folks that don't have water in the village?
This is for the tank.
Right, the inspection.
Yep, we just inspect the tank, they drain it out, check for,
So does
the
that
integrity.
Does that get deducted from people that aren't in the village? Okay, so we're still paying for it, even though we don't have water. Correct?
Well, I mean, essentially your taxes would probably go to that. Yeah. Actually, you don't pay a water bill, so no. Do you have a water bill?
No,
Do you have a sewer bill?
no.
Then no, you don't pay that. This comes out of an enterprise fund, so it's people that pay the water and sewer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item C, resolution from Spicer.
So we're approving this to move forward with our rural development project. That is the $1 million congressional appropriation we will be receiving in the spring of next year to do phase 2 of the water system improvements. Anytime you deal with the federal government, you're probably jumping through hoops and following their rules and regulations that are burdensome in order to apply. So we had to make sure that we have our lawyers in place. We have to have this policy and an incremental rate structure that'll be coming in January. So we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row so we can apply for the money that we've already been appropriated.
I'll make a motion to approve the congressional designation project application, the conflict of interest policy.
Support.
All those in favor?
Do a roll call.
Roll call.
Paul Jenderski's absent. Jamie Kendall.
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt.
Yes.
Edgar Titoff.
Yes.
Kathy Harris.
Yes.
Darcy McSwain is absent. Jennifer Rosser Nesbitt.
Yes.
Item D, police clothing personnel handbook.
Chief and I are discussing uniform maintenance allowance that the officers used to have through their collective bargaining agreement and how it, obviously the bargaining agreement is no longer in effect, which they received, $350 per year for full-time officers, $75 per part-time. But they do their own cleaning now. We don't pay for that. So let's make a change in the personnel handbook, which they now reverted back to, where instead of a clothing allowance, it's more like a boot allowance. Every year we give them a boot allowance up to a certain point based on not their seniority, but if they're part-time, full-time, and chief obviously would fit under that. So looking to make a change there. Chief, do you have anything you want to say to that?
Just that, like you said, with the uniform that we had, it was for dry cleaning and stuff, which we don't do anymore. It's an amount of money that we don't need to put in the budget anymore. The only thing we go through is, on a regular basis, is boots. Uniforms, at a certain point, I might get a pair of pants for 1 year, the next year I might get a shirt because they're getting worn out. But after the initial startup, you wear them until they start wearing out, then you just get one or however you need them. There's no need for that allowance to be there every year on the budget. So boots is really the only thing that we go through on a regular basis, and typical, most people, my boots would fall under 125, some people want different ones, more money, they just know that they have to pay the difference, that's all. But that number's the same number that I've had for the last 3 departments I've been at, that's why I came with that number, it's the same amount, so.
So instead of $350, we're paying $125 to the officer.
So you're gonna lower
For
that
boots, so-
350 then to 125?
Mm-hmm.
What about for the part-time? Are you leaving it at that, or?
My position on that is that's up to their full-time job.
Oh, okay.
They wear the same boots at both positions, they might as well get it from their full-time job.
Okay. So they're not getting any then?
We just supply them with one uniform shirt, one
Okay.
short, long, and pair of pants, what, the boots, no, they don't,
Okay, so they're still gonna get the 75 per year then, or?
no.
Okay, so full-time's gonna get 125,
Part-time don't get anything.
don't get anything, okay.
It'd be different if I had a part-timer that worked the full 32 hours every week. But for somebody that comes in once or twice a month, I don't see a reason for us to have to pay for any of their boot allowance. It's good, they're getting the money from their full-time department to get them boots, why should we pay for it?
And full-time's just you and Michelle, correct?
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Skylar
Yes.
will be graduating in the end of this week, Friday.
Friday, she passes.
And then we are potentially hiring a replacement for Ethan.
So,
So we'll have 4 full-time.
the 350, was that planned in the budget every year for the clothing allowance?
Yes,
Yeah.
It was?
based on the union contract.
Well, let's just do like 175 or $200 for boots.
That's up to the budget, man, don't matter to me, I just
You-
looked at the number and I
if-
thought, well, that's a lot for a pair of boots.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean,
You say the
I know.
average cost is 125?
For mine, but I like a different pair of boots than some people. Some people like a Danner that's more money. That's kinda why I based it on that 125, 150 mark, and that's what he came up with.
I mean, I know a good pair of boots makes or breaks your day.
It does,
So,
it does, and
Thought we just
I mean,
split it
I don't
and
mind
say
if you wanna do
150
it.
instead of 175.
So 150 for both
No, just
150 for
full-time.
full-time,
and chief?
not cheap, I'm kidding.
So, do you need a motion?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to provide the full-time employees with $150 for boots for the police officers.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call. Roll call.
Paul Jenderski's absent. Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Edgar Tito,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain is absent, Jennifer Rosser Nesbitt.
Yes.
Item E, Downtown Boulevard, discussion only.
There's been a request to have this discussion about changing the parking downtown in the boulevards. I know it pops up on Facebook every so often. There's a lot to dig into, a lot to discuss, so I thought this would be a good opening conversation before we look at budgeting and try to get all the facts to see what it would really cost and what we have to do. So if there's support, we can move forward. If there's not, then, I mean, it is what it is. The floor is yours.
I do not support changing the downtown. We have other things that we can spend our money on, the water, sewer, more important things.
I will add that the DDA has agreed to pave from M52 to Hosmer in the amount of $76,250 first thing in the spring. With no, with the water mains abandoned down there, should eliminate all future breaks, because it's not in service, so it's a good time to replace the road.
Either way you do it, parking kinda sucks.
Right.
You look over your left shoulder, you look over your right shoulder, so.
I can see both ways. Watching that area for a while, you know, you take away the middle boulevard, you make a park in front of the businesses on the side of the road and have lanes in the middle. Well, let's say if you wanna go to Subway and the only parking spots in front of the post office, then you still gotta cross over 2 lanes of traffic. At least this way, you're only crossing over 1 lane of traffic to get to one side or the other. I do see the part where cars backing up and they can't see. I see them coming and I stop and just let them make the decision first, because I know they can't see me coming up there. The average teenager on their phone probably won't see that. Well, maybe they need to pay better attention, but there's really, like you said, there's no right way of doing it that area, you know, unless you can open up more parking in the back of the buildings. I don't see any way that's gonna be safe one way or the other.
So my question has come down to, is there enough parking if you move towards the sidewalk? Or would you have to replace or remove some of that sidewalk to make room for the parking? And if doing so, then you're adding costs to the sidewalk removal, and in the sidewalk are the lamp posts. Now you're looking at lamp posts and electrical. You know, that's not gonna be cheap. So I pulled the traffic incidents for the last 2 years. We have 7 traffic stops in 2023, 3 in 2024, 3 traffic accidents in 2024, and 3 traffic accidents, all bumper to bumper, a couple citations issued in 2023, so I don't know. I mean, then it comes into the MDOT section. What are they gonna allow you to do? It is currently a local street.
Local.
Because somebody changed it from major to local for Charles Street to pave Charles Street back in the day. I won't name names. So we could move it back next spring when we get MDOT's map and trade off the boulevard for that section of Charles, which wouldn't be, so now it's a major street where we get more funding from the state. But does the state come in and say you have to parallel park like downtown Chesapeake?
Well, that takes away from parking.
Then you're gonna lose a lot more spots than you would if you were just starting in one.
I can give you just a little bit of back history. That happened because we had it funded, and we got a grant for it, and it was a major street. So, but that put MDOT in charge. And they would only allow parallel parking, because that's what they were doing then, and from what I see from most towns, that's still what they're doing. If you switch, you gotta go to the other parking, and I think we lost like, it might have been around 12 spots by doing it that way. But if you're going to try to go in and keep it, you'd have to keep it a local street and probably pay for all of it, number one. And if you're gonna try to go into them, you're gonna have to move those sidewalks back, because there's not gonna be enough room to drive safely between, and then out come the lights, you gotta put new lights in and new sidewalk. That was a very expensive project when we did it. And yeah, then I switched. I traded with them and made Charles a major street, and then they curb and guttered that one for us. I thought it was pretty good paid off at the time.
What was the main objective to switch it to how it is now with the boulevard?
Well, because they made us do it that way. It was either, if you went, you couldn't just drive into park. That was not part of the package at all. So then we went to the center parking, and Spicer helped us draw up all the plans, and we went to the sidewalks. Well, we redid the whole downtown, because it was a mess.
It wasn't, it was like a
The
$750,000.
sidewalks were raised, I mean, it had to be done. And now, if I'm right, when I was still here, those lights are no longer being made that we have down there. You can't get replacement parts for them anymore. So I believe, didn't we buy some, Bart?
There's some upstairs, yeah.
Yeah, we bought what we could.
have parts. We have parts
Yeah.
and pieces, but not a lot.
Yeah, so you might have to change the episode eventually anyway, but, yeah, that's how that happened, and it was so long ago, I can't even tell you what year it was, but it's held up pretty good.
I'd say it was early 2000s.
Something.
Oh, no, in the 1990s.
It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before you were born.
No, I remember the old downtown
I
of
remember the- yeah, before
'86.
that.
So
So you're saying there's more cons than there are pros to switching it?
I do, I think so. Looking at it from a whole, it's very expensive, and you'll have to use the general fund money. Major, local, you have to, local doesn't have any money anyway, never does. But, it would be expensive how much the DDA wants to spend, but I don't think they have enough to do that, do they?
That would more than wipe them out.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot, but they don't have that much. So, in my opinion, you should leave it the way it is. But that's just,
Well, I'm not a fan of that parking, but, I mean, I'm not gonna suggest that we.
I thought it was so cute. No.
At first, right?
I just did what I was told we could do for free, so that's what
Well,
I
I
did.
sure wouldn't wanna see parallel parking downtown, that's gonna kill our parking, that's for sure.
You still have to move the sidewalks, because you gotta have room to open doors and all that stuff, so.
Are we still talking about getting rid of the brick pavement downtown, or is that?
DDA is still discussing that, yes.
Okay. I guess I'd rather see something like that than
I would too.
do the parking thing. I have heard a lot of complaints over the years about our parking, I have, and like I said, I'm not a fan of it neither, but
That's all I hear.
if it's gonna.
It's the same people though, and it's the same people that complain about the pool, there's really not a whole lot you can, it just comes up every once in a while.
I'd rather fix the sidewalks. This is just discussion, you're not making any motion?
Just discussion.
It's something that, I mean, it's gonna be village-wide if anything is to happen, so now that just start the discussion before the budget process to see what you need to figure out.
Anybody else?
And we can have Spicer look at what would need to happen to make it. I know I have preliminary numbers on removing and replacing the sidewalk. To remove the boulevard right now, and this is with the DA, $232,000.
It's just removal.
That's removal of the sidewalk. To sidewalk removal and replace, this is a rough estimate, $435,000. And, yeah.
And how much is DDA saying they pay?
They're paying 76 for the paving,
Okay.
and then they're looking at ways to incrementally change over the sidewalk without breaking their bank, but at the same time incrementally so people aren't super upset. Or, start with maybe Thurston's or Dr. Klein's and then in front of Hoarders and work your way down. Because sidewalk money doesn't go very far anymore.
Okay.
And they have ambitious goals and dreams that they will be coming with in January, I believe, to discuss with you on how to partner and make it best make the village.
Are the sidewalks in bad condition?
Some are, especially in front of the dentist's office, and then you have other cracks. I watched Jim Dealemeister slip and fall in the winter. The water gets in those cracks,
It's slick.
and then it freezes, and
Yeah.
it's ice.
I've slipped and fell in front of the Secretary of State.
Just get the humps out of them. It's not perfect, but it helps.
Well, minus the ice and snow. Are they,
No,
is
there's
it something
some
we have
bad
to do
spots.
right now?
No, not immediately, no.
I mean, within,
So I think we're gonna go out to proposals and get some bids on X amount of dollars per year from a company, or have them bid out some kind of RFP where we'll do this block this year for X amount of dollars, and we'll come back next year and do the same amount, the same price, and try to kind of get somebody to do it that way.
Actually, the Clinton Street sidewalks and stuff on both sides look pretty good. Those are in pretty good shape, but I don't know if you're gonna wanna rip those out and redo those too, I don't know. They're not cracked or broke or, for the most part.
to discuss. But this
No,
is
yeah.
a good starting point. Get Spicer, get MDOT out there.
Yeah.
Look at it all.
So you'd replace the parts that are broken, right? Is that the thought, or is it the whole thing?
All of it.
Looking at all of it.
So that's $500,000 to
Right.
rip it all out.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Correct.
And I think the reason I heard was somebody slipped. Why wouldn't you add more salt or something, right?
That's
That's
not,
a lot cheaper.
Can I just say, I don't think that's
That's not the real
is
reason.
It's hard to walk on,
yeah.
because it's a cobblestone thing. And it's-
Okay.
the older you get, the harder it gets to walk on it.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah,
Go side to side a little bit sometimes.
I was much younger when we did that, and now that I'm not, it's hard to walk on.
So the corrective action would be to replace it, and you'd still have the same problem.
Well, no, you put in a flat sidewalk.
You wouldn't put the cobblestone back in.
Okay.
You wouldn't put the cobblestone,
No.
you wouldn't stamp it, cause it's stamped. And so
Okay.
it's got all these up and down ridges going on.
It sounds like a lot of money still.
It's a lot of money, it was a lot of money when we did it the first time. Yeah,
How many years ago?
I can't, probably early nineties, cause I retired in 2006 and it was way past, way before that.
So are you talking about putting this in this next year's budget? Are you talking about, is that what you're talking about doing? or-
Now would be the time to discuss that if you're going to put it in, because you're not going to just magically find $500,000 in the middle of a budget.
Right.
So
Because we don't have much more time before January first.
well, our budget's April 1, so we got time to discuss.
Okay, I'm thinking January first, okay.
Hey, Art,
Yes, sir.
is there a process where they can be reground down and sealed rather than replaced?
Probably.
Great question.
Mill and fill.
Yeah, we do roads,
Yeah.
it'd be a lot cheaper.
When we run that miller for the day, we go down and get McPhail's place and make it nice and flat. Do it all.
I would think there'd be some.
There's got to be a
company that would do
process.
Well, it's concrete.
that. Yeah, it's concrete, so it's gotta be the sidewalk's 4 inches or 5 inches deep? So if you're gonna take 3/4 of an inch off it, you're still thick enough, you're not gonna get into the re-rod or any
Are
of that.
the indentations, are they actually 3/4 of an inch, they're that deep?
They're not,
They're
I'm
not.
saying, I'm thinking if you had to take
It's a
3/4
stain.
off,
It's a
yeah,
They're probably 8 to a quarter inch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can look into that and see what they have out there to.
Sounds like somebody's gonna start a business.
Right, Steve?
Yeah, if I can get some new boots. Oh.
Got some good used ones.
Yeah, right. Size 13?
Yep.
All right.
Alright, we good on this discussion? Old business. Item A, 608 West Bell Ave.
You received the photos and the video during the rain. Looking for no action on this. I think it's doing its job. There is a lip. He changed the story from it was phase one's fault to 12 years ago when I bought this house. So I'm okay with calling this good. If you are okay with calling this good.
100%. I mean, he himself said he
Yep.
had no issues with inside his basement crawl space. So
Correct.
Right, I didn't see, like, there was no health reasons or structural reasons, is, yeah.
Mhm. Do you need a motion to leave it?
No.
Okay.
Just finalizing for the record.
Item B, 524 West Bell Ave.
This is the one where we approved up to $1,800 if it was lead or galvanized, found out there was nothing there. So technically, by law, we don't have to do anything. Now, on the other side of that is, if this was a new build and they were gonna hook up to water, The village would charge $1,000. He paid $1,800. So we could call that $1,000 towards that company, his payment towards the village, since it was a burnt down house and we probably should have hooked it back up, but we thought nothing it was gonna get razzed and nothing was gonna happen there. And give back $800 of that as, you know, you did the work, you did everything that we would have normally partnered with you on. Don't have to by law, but just throwing that out there.
I think that's fair.
Are we setting a precedence though by doing that, or?
Not necessarily, as this shouldn't come up that often. Every house should have now water hooked up to it at this point. Now in the future, say that there's a fire in a Raz building, I mean, it still would get water from the village, right? We would initially do it right away, as soon as it went back
Water
up.
was took in the yard into the shut-off. There was no place to extend the water line into a burn-up building, so that's why it wasn't done. We, as far as we knew, it was gonna get tore down.
Great question. So, again, no action necessary. Just something to think about. If it happens again, how do we approach this?
He never called the village to let anybody know
He
anything was
waited
going
six,
on.
6 or 7 months to
That's
say
kind of
anything.
my concern too. And when it was brought up, there was a mention like, hey, I'll be here to, you know, discuss this. We'll just kind of throw it in the hands of the council, but not throw out representation, I guess.
Andy never called you, he just went straight to
Andy,
the
right,
attorney
he didn't
instead
even
of
try to
stopping
go
into the
through the
village
village.
office or calling the DPW.
Well, he is the attorney. So,
Well, no, like, he went to,
He went through the
Didn't
company
he go
instead of going through the village through the proper channels, like, hey, are you guys gonna hook this up?
Yeah,
No, we're gonna.
just
you
did
know.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Is this the property where Nancy Clark's house was?
I don't know that.
It's a white house with green shutters. Well, it was.
Do you
It
know,
was last 2023 caught on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bart, do you know if that was?
Dave Lewis's old house, right there on the corner.
Do you remember
Ford Street,
Hart's?
Next to Denige's old house? Big Denige's
Across
house.
from the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Across from the doctor's office?
Yeah.
It's on the same side of the road as the doctor's office.
Where Pam
Yeah.
and Ronnie lived the second time, the white, where Rex lived that died over there, right on Ford Street in Bel
Oh, you call it,
Dave Lewis's house was burned quite a long time ago.
I'm
The
thinking,
garage, it's got
I'm
a dead end
thinking-
road.
I don't,
the one down by where.
Got a
Karen-
savant over here. You know, it's where they lived the second time.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Next to Carabino's old
What a
house.
creep. Kidding. Sorry.
Oh,
Right next door.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know when that guy's got water problems with the sidewalk? It's 2 houses back from him, on his side.
Okay. So you need a motion for this?
Motion or let it go.
I feel we do nothing on it. I mean, there was no contact, there was no, if he had to pull permits to redo whatever, he had the opportunity to contact us and say, hey,
Yep.
what about this? So, because like you said, if it was a brand new build, it'd be no different.
Yeah.
Department reports, DPW.
No. Water. Last month we pumped 3,500,000 gallons of water, red water meters, fixed the water break hole on Hewlin, replaced 6 water meters, fixed the communication error on the water pit and tower, and flushed and pumped hydrants. On sewer, we pumped 4,406,000 gallons, and we finished patching up the holes on the lagoons. And the streets, routine maintenance, garbage patch. Made one last round on brush. landscaped the catch basins on Hosmer, picked up Christmas trees and put them up, hung wreaths on the bridges, poles and Bell, and along the bridges and on Bell. Salted and cleaned up that little snowstorm and cleaned up the front of the office. And in the park, we trimmed all the bushes, cleaned leaves around pavilions, hung and decorated for Christmas, mowed leaves.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Bart.
Thank you, Jason.
Police Department report.
This thing's back always, isn't it? Right on top of you. All right. So we had 128 activities between calls and traffic stops, base citations for this past month. That's a little bit higher number than normal. That's due to the new part-timer working nights, Mr. Hall, working out really well. He comes in and likes to run traffic. I've told him a couple areas that are concerned, that's always been a concern, and he's hit those places, whether it be seatbelt violations or speeding violations, he's hitting them up, so. He's doing what he's asked to be done, and he comes in and works, and he fills in the gaps, so. Couldn't be happier with that. Call volume wise, nothing much to speak of. A lot of general assist, you'll see a lot of them that say our address here, well, those are all the pistol permits that come in on a regular basis. It's probably 5 to 6 a week at least, sometimes more than that. I mean, I'm assuming that's gonna go up more once Christmas time gets here, but, it's amazing how many pistol permits it will do in a week, in a month. It's helping out that Thurston's a lot, I know it is. Art kinda took my thunder, talking about a new person, but, yes, Skylar is done on Friday. She texted me today, she passed her final test, so she's excited. She will start on Monday. She will do some riding with me for the first little bit, and then with Officer Dean a little bit in school, learn that bit, so we'll cover that till the end of the year. And then on January 3rd, tentatively right now, that's our new hire is gonna start, January 3rd. She will then work the first 2 nights on night shift, which would be her shift by herself, and then that following Monday, since she is FTO certified, then she will start training Skylar at night shift right away. That was one of the things that I wanted to look for when I found another full-time employer, was somebody who's already certified in that, to make it easier, as it's sad, if I didn't find anybody, I was gonna have to do it. Cause I can't really have Michelle do it, she doesn't have enough experience and she's not trained. The only other person that's on her department at the time would be me, so, we were gonna do it, it was gonna be rough, but we were gonna do it, but, it just all happened within the last couple weeks really quick. So, sometimes things happen for a reason and they happen really fast. So, we're excited about it, I'm excited about the whole opportunity that's coming up in the future and, the coverage that we're gonna have. With the part-timers we have and now the 4 full-timers, we should have quite a bit of coverage. A lot more than we've seen in a long time, so, which is good for this area because the county deputies are they're few and far between nowadays, so. I ran into one the other day, I backed him up on the way back from the chief's meeting on Pryor Road, he was going down there and ran into a car with a shotgun leaned up against it, so I was right there coming back, so I went down the road to him, he's like, thanks man, I'm the only one on today. So, I mean, they're shorthanded, everybody is. We're lucky enough to get the full-timer coming that we did. I had that posting for probably 2 months, 3 months, and it was the only one that came in. And it just happened that she's got 3 years prior, almost 4 years. She's accident investigator certified, which means for a natural death, or a death accident, she goes to those and works those cases. She's TASER certified instructor, so she can teach, like we have, Officer Dean and then Skylar who haven't got tased, so we're gonna have some tasing going on here. They're gonna have to ride the lightning like everybody else did. So I don't think it's fair that I had to do it and you didn't, so. But then she's FTO certified, which is the big one, that's the big help for us right now, so. I think Ed's gonna volunteer too, so. Yeah, it's what is it, like $60 for the cartridge or something?
Would be the first time for it.
It's the only thing on my bucket list. It's the only thing left, yeah.
So you wanna do it at a meeting, or?
Yeah.
That's fine.
What we can do is raffle off the person who gets the taste, and we'll make money off of it.
Let Mr. Westlock do it.
Any questions? No?
Figure out how we're
order to pay for sidewalks.
Like
rats.
I'll take it. We end up with a police chopper.
All right, it was a slow month for building permits. We had one demo permit that was for that fire, garage fire, Hosmer. That's what the fire insurance withholding money was for. And after it was demolished, he was given the balance that was in that account. We had a new build on, at 200 West Maple, pole barn's going up right now. And then a water heater on East Bell. And as for the complaints, of the 5 we had, 4 are now resolved. And the one that's remaining, he's actually working on it. He's been making some progress on it. He had put up a temporary shelter and the wind took it down about 2 days after he put it up to park vehicles in, so we're working with him on that. That's all I have. Any questions?
So 632, did they clean that up on their own, or were they
He did.
encouraged by you?
What he did was he moved everything behind the fence.
Yeah.
So it's still there, but it's not visible. There's not a lot.
There's a lot of room back there.
So that's where we're at with that.
Thank you, Scott.
Public comment?
Oh, public, you said public comment?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, thank you. Just curious to know, what became of the, water project we had talked about over a year ago?
Extending out to your house.
Yes,
The last I knew that you were looking to annex out of the village.
right.
And so I thought that ended the discussion.
I never did hear what the cost was though.
Well, I don't know about the cost either. The Board of Commissioners at the county in Saginaw would vote to allow you to do so or not.
No, I mean the cost
Oh.
of the water line.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I never did
Oh,
hear what that
yeah,
cost
it
was
says-
going
it
to be,
says-
I'm sorry.
Well, that's a great question. I think that the 1,000 for you to hook up, and as far as going down, I don't know that answer, Bart. We've only done a couple since I've been here.
Running a main out,
Yeah,
depends how far, depends how many hydrants, depends how many, I mean, these guys would know more about square footage of main than I would, I mean.
Yeah, but how far is it?
Yeah, honestly, okay, so the last time we had talked, you already had engineering drawings to do all this work.
let's see if I can find it.
Yeah,
Does it say, it's,
so,
Ithaca?
Ithaca.
Ithaca Road.
I think
Yeah.
they read
Yeah, Mark, I think, yeah, it would go past where it is
So-
right now, and it would
go
go,
to the village limit sign?
yeah, basically.
I don't know how far that is going, that matters.
So,
Yeah.
I got an email
We
from.
just gotta get her through the class.
Yeah, so the only reason why I have it unannexed is because basically, hey, if there's a chance we can get that water line put out there, I'm sure other people are gonna tie into it eventually, you know, and that would be good for the village. But if not, then I will do what I have to do,
So
because I've been paying tax for 28 years, and I don't get anything. And I've talked to Eddie about this, so.
the last house to have water is 12,451. The house next to the west, 12,495, does not have water or sewer, but is in the village limits. This would make 5 potential customers if the water main were to be extended. 12,495, 12,537, 12,595, 12,621, and 12,693. Water currently exists in front of house 12,495 and 12,537, so they already have access to it, and we just have to pay the associated connection fee to connect if they wanted to. So now we gotta figure out if we're gonna move forward, the township residents wanna connect as well, would the village want them to annex? Would the village wanna enter an agreement with the township residents to have them pay the costs up front and deduct it from the project, similar to a special assessment agreement? So this is where it stands.
I've mean, we're talking about $500,000 in sidewalks. Instead, we could spend $100,000. So my neighbor came out, evidently you talked to my neighbor Kevin Kilgore.
He's against it, correct?
Yeah, he said it was like $104,000 or something to do that. I'm like going, no, we shouldn't have to pay for that, you know. Besides, I mean, it's been this long, 27, 28 years I've been paying taxes on this. Goodness gracious. And so has Kevin, so, I mean, we basically already paid for it,
Mm-mm.
so.
No, you didn't. The water bills came from
Wait a
the
sec,
water
wait a
line.
second, Chris. At the end of the day,
You know my name, what is your name?
I'm Dan Warren. I'm Elaine's
Oh, okay, gotcha.
son-in-law, okay,
You
so
did this before.
28 years ago,
I mean, you asked for this, and we put it all together for you, and you turned it down.
because of the cost.
Well, yes,
It
it's
was
still,
at-
it's
It was
still gonna cost that much.
astronomical.
You think it was astronomical then? I said to you then, this is the cheapest you're ever gonna see it.
No, it's not.
Yes, I did. Yes, it
And
is.
honestly, then why are we in the village then? So I guess the answer is unannexed. And we tried to do it at that time and we couldn't.
Why not? You're the
Because,
last one,
because
right?
this council wouldn't allow us to do that.
You're the last one?
Kevin is too.
Kevin, who's
Kevin
Kevin?
Kilgore.
Aren't you the last house in the village on that
I,
side of the road?
yes, I am the last house.
On that side of the road.
Right, but Kevin doesn't have access to water either.
Nobody does, all the way up to
Right.
the guy in the apron.
And honestly, I think a better solution is to get that water line done. I mean, for $500,000 you wanna spend on these sidewalks? I know where you're talking.
But one has nothing to do with the other.
No, but $100
It's different
grand,
pots of money.
$100 on this water line is nothing.
I already did this for you once.
It doesn't
Long
matter,
time
it doesn't
ago.
matter, let's spend our money wisely.
It's not gonna cost less.
You know what? I'm sitting next to a guy that wants to have water, and what, how many other people, Scott, that you know of?
Two others at least.
Yeah,
I
at
mean,
the time that we did it.
It sounds,
we
it
did
sounds
the
like
north side-
it sounds like a good idea to think about it.
We did it on the north side of the road, just your side. And then when people hooked up on the south side, you got reimbursed that money, that's the way that was set up.
It's not set up. It's not set up.
It was a lot of money,
Yes.
Probably more now,
It was
isn't
a
it?
lot of.
a lot more now, cause it was a long time ago.
This house is in the village limits,
Yeah.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
but it's in the village limits.
Yeah.
Why wasn't the water line ever went to his house?
Just didn't go
When
that
Great question.
But there was nobody else there, and it just didn't go that far.
Well, I know the answer to that question, but we don't have to get into that in this meeting, but,
So
You weren't there when those.
you have a well,
yes, we have a well.
you have a well in the village limits.
Yes.
It was new houses. and they were-
I'm a little confused here.
Thank you.
Didn't we work on ordinance that stated that you couldn't have a well in village limits? On the planning commission?
It was that you can't
You can't.
unhook from the main and go back to a well.
But you couldn't use your well for your main, supply of water purpose.
If they
You could
had,
use it to water your yard, but you can use it as a main supply of water.
but they've always had a well, so they've never been hooked up to the city water. So you can't,
And they can't hook to the city water.
No, but he's bringing up
It's
a
not
great
there.
question.
But the ordinance we worked on doesn't say that in it, Jen, when we did that.
But he's bringing up a very good
There's
point.
no gray period on that. Right? Or am I understanding what we discussed different?
what we discuss is you can't go from
No, it's
having
not
the.
going from, it was that
from
you
the-
could not have a well and use it for your main supply
couldn't
of
dig a
water for
new-
your residents.
You can't dig a new one. They've had theirs. So it's kind of grandfathered in that they've had theirs, but you can't go and dig a new well
But
within the village.
we didn't
Legal
discuss anything
non-conforming.
like that.
Yeah, legal
We did.
non-conforming.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I might not, maybe we need to clarify it in there though.
Yes, that's,
But
'cause
it goes back to the legal non-conforming.
and if his well fails, he falls under grandfather clause and
Legal non-conforming,
he can have a new well drilled.
legal non-conforming.
Okay, all right, okay.
Let's get some numbers.
Nobody on the other side wants in?
Yes, I'm on the other side.
You're on the other side.
Directly across from him. And I'd like water,
And you're in the township?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's 500 feet from the last fire hydrant to my driveway.
So you're next to Paul?
Pardon me?
You're next to Paul Grzaniak?
Yeah, he's west of me, I believe.
And who's the other?
Pam,
Pam.
is her last name.
Yeah.
She's
She
on
used
my
to be
side.
Pam Lake, and now she's Pam,
May?
Pam May.
Pam May.
Pam May,
Pam May.
yeah.
Pam is.
Everyone knows Pam.
And Kevin Kilborn wants water?
I'm not sure Kevin would want water, but he's doing just fine.
How far is the house next to you that has water?
It's way
Gosh,
How many feet? Half mile, quarter mile?
No,
eighth mile?
no.
500 feet.
Not even,
So the line's 500 feet from your home,
Right.
approximately.
right.
Okay.
And if you brought it to the beginning of my frontage,
So
it'd
run
even
it-
be shorter.
So run it this side and cross? Is that what you're thinking?
You have to go across the lot.
Right. I get that.
He has,
Might as well go to the village limits.
so if we annex somebody else in, you'd have to pay again to bring it across your lot and go out.
Well, I mean, if you wanna bring it another 600 feet, but that's a lot of money too.
It is.
Yep.
It's your last 600 feet, right?
Yes, it's actually a little bit more than that.
It's like 1,000 feet total.
Yeah.
That's a lot, yeah.
Couple hydrants.
Yeah, I think you guys have actually put together a.
That's what he was.
I think
We have it here.
I
It's
feel like
here.
I looked at that.
Should be here.
What was the price, if anybody knows?
I can't remember, we can look it up,
It was like,
get the
I
info
don't
of
know.
the village.
I mean, you guys have done the engineering work already on it, so.
Let's see if we can find that. Preliminary estimate of cost for the extension, $104,000.
$104,000.
Kevin, I should've known Kevin was right.
Kevin was right.
Those numbers,
All right.
Oh, you found it?
yeah.
How long ago was that?
This was 7/14/2023. And follow-up email with Mitchell was in August, I believe. And that's when Kilborn came in and vehemently wanted to shut it down and make sure that nobody had it. Cause we were gonna we were gonna look at it the same way, special assessment district. It pays for itself over X amount of years, but he doesn't want anybody touching his yard. He was in here, according to my notes here, he was in here for 35 minutes.
What,
Yeah,
when you moved into that residence,
yes,
did you build that home?
yes, we did.
At that time, did you come to the village and, was there city water out there to your neighbor?
No, it's never moved since we've been in that residence.
Was there, did the village have city water then, when you moved in?
Yes.
So it was stopped at your neighbors when you built there?
Correct,
And at that time, did you request that the city water come into your property?
yes,
You did, when you
Yes.
built?
yes.
Okay, all right. And you were told what?
We were basically, well, they did go out for a bid on it.
Yep.
And the number that came back, I cannot recall. I probably could go back to my notes and find it, cause I do take good notes. But it wasn't worth it
So you turned it down at that point, had a
at
well
that,
drill?
at that point.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah,
It was a lot more than $40,000.
yeah, a lot of money.
It was.
So you had an opportunity at that time to have village water brought to your home when you built, correct?
I
And
would
you-
have wanted that, yes.
And you turned it down? Because of the
No, I
cost?
didn't have the option. I didn't have the option of having the water brought to my home.
I thought you said the cost was too high, so you turned it down.
His house
Well,
was already built.
our house had already been built.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
and we actually looked at it after the house was built, and we had a well, okay?
You had a well in already?
Yeah, we had a
Okay.
well in already, so,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yep.
And it was you and somebody else. The guy.
Kevin Kilmore,
Okay.
next to us,
He's
yeah,
still happy.
well, I mean.
He's the guy back in the woods, right?
Yeah, but,
Okay.
I mean, the reason, I'm glad you asked those questions, because basically, just before we had purchased our property back in 1995, the lady that we bought it from had annexed all of our land into the village. It was never in the village. But I don't know, she was an older lady and like about 95 years old, and somebody talked her into annexing it into the village. So, it was like, really? But,
Arms length.
no, she was just selling the land. She had nothing to gain from it. She didn't know what she was signing. You know? Can't recall the name of it.
There's no name shown, I can tell you it was
No,
sold.
it's never been.
Sold on October 13th of 95, but there's no name with it. It was an arm's length deal.
Is it, start with a V or something?
Doesn't even show it.
Okay.
According to sale price, what a steal. She got it for
It was empty land.
It was empty, yeah, it was empty land. It was-
$21,900.
Yep.
So what do we have to do then to,
Spicer, I mean, we gotta figure out what you want. Do you wanna do a special assessment district? Do you wanna go forward with this? Do you wanna budget for it? How do you wanna move forward? We gotta talk to the township if we're gonna go across on that side. They're not gonna wanna give up property taxes, but
I think I think the water line actually does go, it's on the township side. I think.
Fire hydrants are on
Yeah.
the south side,
Yeah.
on my side.
Okay.
I'm in the township. He's across the street from me in the village.
so it
You're
should,
in the
maybe,
township, you're both in Brant Township, right?
St. Charles Township.
St. Charles.
St. Charles.
My neighbor to the east is in the township, not in the village. And then there's another lot to the east of her, one even more, I believe, that is in the township, not in the village, and does not have water. Fire hydrant is, the last hydrant, which I assume is the end of the water line, is just before that lot.
so
500 feet from my property,
Terry,
12,693.
12621.
Okay.
and you said it's to the east,
I'm 126.
500 feet
Approximately 500 feet to the east is where it is.
on
On my
on
side of the
the
road.
on the May property.
On the May property?
Yeah, the 12,595.
May's next to me, I'm at 12621.
Yeah, so
So May's before you.
May's to the east of me,
Yep.
and then there's an open lot,
And,
east of her, I believe somebody else owns.
so the on that lot is the hydrant.
It's either right on the edge of it, or I'm not sure if
Okay.
it gets to it or not, might be right on the border.
Yeah, this isn't perfect either. It's got it split through Krazaniak's house, and then they have that property.
And then it's to
I
me
think the
too.
village ends back further on that side of the road.
It's really, yeah, it's kind of janky.
Is that Clayford?
Kind of janky.
Thinking like
I think it's Clayford.
Let's do some engineering and figure some things out. Get some numbers.
Get some numbers, bring them back.
right after.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna gain, if the, township agrees and you get the water, you're gaining out of the village water rates. Therefore, paying for the project probably within 7-10 years, realistically. The minimum bill,
Well, Dan will pay regular water.
right, but the other side,
If I were you, I'd,
Pay more.
well, I don't know if I'd annex them or not.
I'll tell you what, if it's 7 years, man, that's a good NPV.
that's what I wrote when we started
Yeah.
talking years ago.
Yep.
Have you seen water bills lately?
I mean, no, that's a good,
I'm just
it's
curious.
an
I'm just
good
curious.
NPV for the project, for the village. And would that include other folks coming in from the township too, that NPV? Okay. All right.
Any other public comments?
motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.